Hey everyone, this is James with your Chue review, and for today I'd like to talk about Drakensang Online. Drakensang, however you want to say it. It's a relatively new MMORPG browser-based game that began open beta late last year. Since it is only in open beta, I don't think it's fair to pretend to give it a review because, it's not complete. But I'd like to share my thoughts on the game currently. Here, as you can see, I'm in the login page. One of the really big appeals for me about this game immediately is that there are no downloads, meaning you can literally play it from anywhere, which is a nice thought. I mean, with most MMORPGs, you have to go through the trouble of downloading and installing and registering, which takes a good half of the day, especially if the game is big. So to be able to play this game with friends by just registering, that's already a plus. As you can see here, there are only 3 classes right now, but like I said, it's not complete, so it can be forgiven. But for now, let's dive into Drakensang Online and look at the gameplay. I'm using a pre-made character to show you some of the moves available to mages. As you can see, with the option of extra detail while in full screen mode, the game looks great. I mean, no, it won't win any awards, but for a browser game, that's one of the best I've seen so far. At level 17, I have almost all of the moves unlocked. There's an Ice Ball, Fireball, AoE, Icicles, Lightning Hit, the normal lightning attack, and the teleporting move. The gameplay is pretty straightforward and very reminiscent of Diablo. Click here, go there, click here, kill this, click here, pick this up. For the more action-orientated player, this is a very decent game and pretty fun while playing in groups. Okay, with the gameplay aside, this is where the game is broken in its current state. Here is the weapon vendor. He sells items up to level 40, and yeah, they're pretty powerful. If you can see here though, they're not that expensive. I mean, some of the items cost less than 10 silver, which with the 3 gold that I have, I could buy a dozen times over. I'm not complaining about that, but if you take a look at my inventory to the right, you can see that they're pretty much all green or blue or even purple. Those are special item drops, which gives you extra stats, and to be honest, they drop a lot and end up being much better than the items you can buy the next level up. Here's the armor vendor, and it's the same thing. The highest level item that he does sell is still under 10 silver pieces. You'll probably have a much better armor before you even get to that level. But okay, here's the last guy. He sells special items. They're a lot more colorful than the ones that the other vendors sell, and that's because they have extra stats to them. You can see though that they do not cost gold, silver, or copper pieces. They actually operate on a different currency called Anderworld. There's some type of blue rocks that you get from quests, and they drop in single to double digits from monsters. Looking at these prices, they seem pretty worth it, but that's because you haven't seen what else operates on Andermans. This is a potion vendor. He sells potions. He takes Andermans. I mean, yeah, as a mage, he does sell you mana potion for in-game currency, but honestly, health is where you'll be the most concerned. But as you can see, health potions can only be purchased with Andermans. And before you start thinking that you can just ration it out between quests and everything, no you can't. I got up to level 17 taking on as many quests as possible. I only received a few thousand Andermans, and as you can see, 10 of the stronger potions available are about half 1,000. I mean, this is a grinding game. You can't grind without potions. That's pretty damn clear. Imagine if you didn't have potions in Diablo. You'd be killing one skeleton at a time. Or imagine if you had to cough over a few bucks for every dozen potions in game. That'll add up really fast. But to be honest, this game has so much potential that I just want to like it so much. Okay, yeah, the potion thing sucked, but here's what breaks the camel's back. And then there's this guy. He sells you buffs and miscellaneous things, colors to dye your armor. Yeah, everything looks good. It only requires a few hundred Andermans at most. Everything's reasonable. He sells you colors to dye your armor. He sells you buffs. All this stuff. It's on this last tab that you get a face full of crap. Everything seems alright, but once you get lower, you see that he sells you inventory expansion. And okay, let me explain the process that went through my head. First expansion. Alright, 1,600. That's reasonable. I can get that in game. Second expansion, 8,000. Whoa, that's quite a jump. But you know what? Maybe close to the end I could get that. Third expansion, 16,000. Huh? Is that it? Nope. There's a second page. 32,000, 64,000, and finally 128,000. And all of that just for inventory expansions. Well, okay, this game's pretty decent. I mean, I want to like it. So, okay, you know what? Let's just see how much Andermans cost. You know, I'm not rich, but I can afford to chip in a few bucks for a game with so much potential. You click around and you see, oh, they have an option for 246,700 Andermans. Okay, well, how much does that cost? $200. Seriously, $200. And that's with a 35% saving. And if you think to yourself, don't be stupid, no one needs that much Anderman, it's only there as an option that no one else could possibly click. But no, if you add up all the expansion slots, it equals up to more than $200 worth of Andermans. Seriously, all that for in-game expansion slots. That's it! Imagine if in Skyrim you had to pay $1 for every pound you carried, and $1 for every potion you used. That's just ridiculous! I mean, Skyrim's almost good enough to pull it off, but do you know why they don't? Because that's batshit insane! To put it all into perspective, look at this. Wikipedia's list of the least valuable currency in the world, with number 1 being Somalia with 33,300 units equaling to $1, whereas the smallest option with Anderman is $2 for 1,600, which means $1 for 800 units. Andermans are apparently worth their virtual weight in gold because they're worth more units per dollar than the currency of 25 countries, almost tying Myanmar with 860 units per US dollar. I mean, yeah, I understand. No one could or would possibly offer you a service for free. Everyone has to eat, but there's a right way to go about it and a wrong way. This is the wrong way. Let's take Guild Wars for example. I played it a few years, and yes, there is some in-game stuff you can buy to help you along the process, but they're not game-breaking. They're just usually disguises, new skins, some item buffs, and more inventory. Nothing that you can't complete the game without. Don't get me wrong, it's not only a problem with Drakensang Online. I mean, I've played my share of free MMORPGs, and about 6 years ago, I've noticed a trend going around with virtual currency. The first time I ran into it was with Gunbound Online. At first it was just another aspect of the game that you could pretty much ignore if you were a good player. But sure enough, it has integrated itself into the game so much that it's nearly impossible to play without forking over some cash. The most extreme and worst case I've ever come across was with Conquer Online. I started playing it 2, maybe 3 years before they integrated virtual currency into the game. Like I've said, it's always been there, but only as another aspect of the game, not a requirement. Once that went into full swing, players popped up literally overnight and out-leveled and out-equipped players who've been at it for years. There were even rumors that the quote-unquote best player of our server paid upwards of $2,000 per month to maintain his status. But before I get too deep into the unsettling truth that has become of quote-unquote free MMORPGs, I have to digress. Drakensang Online is an MMORPG on the horizon and it has endless potential. My recommendation is to try the game, but don't support them just yet. Let's wait for them to be reasonable before we're reasonable. This is James with your Chue review.